Okay, this is my review of the Razer Naga MMO gaming mouse. Um, it's the first gaming mouse I've ever actually purchased because I never really needed one before now, but the ability to bind 17 keys definitely was something I wanted to look into. And as you can see, it's a fairly nice looking mouse. The scroll wheel and the back of it glow. And taking a look at the left hand side where you rest the thumb, if you're a righty like me, has 12 programmable buttons, 1 through 3, all the way through 3 through 12. So you've got 12 buttons there, and then looking at the front, you've got right and left click. The scroll wheel is one click, and then two buttons right there. On the past the right hand side, there's no extra button there, but there is a nice little groove where you can rest your ring finger, sort of. Uh, Looking at the bottom, it's got a nice, instead of just the 3 or 4 little feet of a normal mouse, the Teflon feet go all the way around. And just using a regular soft mouse pad, it glides across perfectly. It'll work with pretty much any gaming surface, mouse pad, hard or soft. You've got the 3G invisible laser, and just moving the mouse like across the palm of your hand easily moves the mouse around on the screen. And you can set some of the features with the switch here for the profiles and how they interact with the number keys. Previously, you could just bind these keys or any of the keys on the mouse to 1 through 3, or excuse me, 1 through 0 on the keyboard. But with the release of the 2.0 software for the Naga, you can bind any key on the keyboard to any key on the mouse itself, as well as write macros for it. So there's no need for specific add-ons like the one for WoW or Warhammer. You can fully bind it. I use it with Star Trek Online, and it works pretty well. If you played Star Trek Online, I have number 1 here bound to my Ventrilo button for my fleet. 2 through 5 I have bound to my shield frequencies to rotate. 6, 7, 8, and 9 bound to skills, and 10, 11, 12 also bound to skills. I don't have buttons 4 and 5 really bound to anything, but I can. The 4th button's a little hard to hit unless you're doing claw grip. The 5th button's not too bad. I pretty much do palm grip, but I can do claw grip. You kind of have to do claw grip for the scroll wheel, because if you do palm grip, as you can see, your fingers end up resting in the grooves, but then you have to move a finger over to get to the scroll wheel, so I have to claw grip that. But yeah, it was well worth the investment. I paid $79.99 retail at Best Buy for it after reading reviews online and researching it. It was either this or the Death Adder, and since I play MMORPGs, I really wanted the extra custom buttons. It's a very nice mouse. I do like the way it glows. You can test all that and turn it off if you want in the software. The cord that comes with it, if you can take a look at that with my crappy webcam, is a mesh cord, braided. It doesn't feel like a regular slick cord. It feels more like a cloth cord. It makes it easier, or excuse me, less easy to get tangled, and it straightens out very easily. I can't unplug the USB cable because I'm actually using it, but the USB connector is gold plated to help it stay, kind of crank out just a little bit more usability from it. and it's a very nice mouse. I've never had a gaming mouse. I've always been a trackball fan. I've used trackballs for as long as I can remember. I was a fan of the Logitech Trackman, a thumb trackball. Except the only downside to trackballs is they only have usually 3 buttons, left, right, and scroll wheel. And there are actually very few 4 or 5 button trackball mouses, and they're pretty rare or hard to find, or they don't come in the thumb variety. Um, there were never any trackball mice that had more than 5 buttons. And so it's been years since I've actually had a mouse where you move it around with your hand. Uh, but this didn't take too long to get used to. Um, it'll take a little adjusting, getting used to the the 4 rows of buttons here on the side. But once you get used to it, you can easily press a key with memory, and it even comes with little stickers that you can place on the 5 key or any other key to help kind of orient yourself with where you're placing it, kind of like the nudges on the home run keys on the keyboard. And it didn't take very long to get used to. It fits my big bear claw hands fairly easily. I'm just using my left hand at the moment to show that. Um, and it's very light. I would have preferred something a little heavier, but it's not too bad. I personally like it, and like I said, it was worth the investment. So definitely check it out if you're into MMOs. It's definitely worth the money for all the customizable buttons. Because one thing I hate about MMOs is you can bind pretty much any key in an MMO on the keyboard. It's just that, if you're gaming with a mouse on one hand and you've got your other hand on the keyboard, you're kind of sacrificing some speed and efficiency to press a skill that's bound all the way over on the other side of the keyboard when you could easily just bind it to a key here and save yourself from having to reach all the way over to the other side of your keyboard for a skill you might need. So in games like WoW or Warhammer or Lord of the Rings or any MMO where you have a ton of skills and items and abilities and you're using pretty much all the keys on your keyboard, something that you may need in a hurry that's on the other side of the keyboard might not be the greatest way to bind it on the keyboard. So going with a button on the mouse is easily the best way to go. So the Naga was definitely worth it. I personally love it. My first Razer product. I'm definitely going to look into getting a Razer mouse pad to go with it, just so I can have like a set. I play on a laptop, so I don't really need the keyboard, but they do make some nice keyboards from what I've read. So if you're interested in a gaming mouse, definitely check out the Razer Naga.